Oh yeah, big fish. We the ones that you wanna get with. Took a couple L's, rung a couple bells. Real ones, too legit for coin selling. Straight shooters, all troopers. Me and the guys ain't never been losers. See a nice little ting, we pursue her. See a nice little, yeah.
Morning all. Steve in the building. Steve in the building early. iRock in the building. Shout out to iRock. It's been a while. Well, actually, no, it hasn't. We just saw you, iRock. But it's always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to see you. Good morning, y'all. Let's have a great day. Let's definitely do that. And as you're joining, y'all know the drill. Please make sure that you're liking, subscribing if you haven't already. And if you're feeling real generous, hit that share button. All you got to do is press the share button, copy link, send it to your group chat. I promise you today's show will be one of those ones. One of them ones. I promise y'all. We got a lot to talk about. Shout out to Professor King in the building. We got a lot to talk about today. Professor, always good to see you. You know that. All right. You know what? I can't even. Let's get rid of this audio. Get rid of the audio. Today's a tough one, man. Today's a tough one, but that's what we're called to do. That's what we're called to do. There's a lot going on in the world. Obviously, things with Iran and Israel, and what's going to happen with us getting pulled into that war, or pulled into what could potentially be the next World War III. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think we should be realistic with ourselves in acknowledging that it's a lot, because if not, we're going to turn around and look at perhaps what happened with the Iraq war years down the line and be sitting here saying, oh, well, what was the point of this? They never had weapons of mass destruction. They never had this. They never had that. And I become very weary of things that I can't truly understand. When things become too complicated, and when people think like, well, you don't know the right, well, tell me what happened. Tell me what's the reasoning behind this, because it's not making any sense from the standpoint, that the vantage point that I'm looking at it from. It's just not making any sense. So please explain it to me. And it just a lot of back and forth. And I think Unk's going to cam up today. So hopefully Unk can keep me calm, cool, and collective. But it's just, and I'll be totally honest. So today is going to be a little bit all over the place. It's going to be mostly me talking. We don't have that many videos to review. But I have become what I believe, and you guys tell me. I guess I'll know by the end of the show. But I'm a sexist. I'm a sexist. And I was looking up the definition of the words last night, and I was like, yo, am I a sexist? And as we go throughout the show, I'll kind of explain why I'm saying this. But I really relate a lot of our problems in the world to men not being men. I'll be totally honest. So we're going to review today a little bit of the Adam and Eve story. As you can probably see, or I don't know if you guys caught with the thumbnail, that movie Straw, which was #1 on Netflix. I don't know if it was still #1, but we watched it last night. And from beginning to end, I was enraged. If I can show you guys the notes that I took on this movie, because I heard Jason Whitlock and a few other people talking about it, and he was saying like it's the worst movie I've ever seen. And I'm like, he's exaggerating. It can't be that bad. And about maybe 15, maybe not even 15 minutes into the movie, I couldn't obviously say it's the worst movie that I've ever seen, but I understood, or I thought I understood, why he said that. They are trying to brew a race war. There are a lot of people, I'm realizing this more and more, that there are a lot of people that benefit from us being at war. There are a lot of people that benefit from us being at war. Shout out to Unk in the building. Shout out to Mo Crush. Shout out to Ski. Mo Crush wrote, evil prevails when good men fail to act. I agree 100%. And this is why I become a sexist. We are not the same. And let me, I wasn't going to start this way, but when I look up the definition of sexist, it says characterized by or showing prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination, typically against women on the basis of sex. See, I think that word against is the issue that most people have an issue with. If I'm discriminatory against a child in prejudging this child to say, hey, I may need to do a little bit extra for this child, or I'm discriminatory against a guy for whatever reason, and I say, hey, we may need to do something a little bit different with this person. The word the discrimination part, I guess, is what gives us an issue. So then when I looked up the definition of discriminant, to make an unjust or prejudicial distinction in the treatment of different categories of people, especially on the grounds of ethnicity, sex, age, or disability. But then I went to the second definition and it said, recognize a distinction, to differentiate and recognize a distinction. So going back to the definition of sexist, when it says characterized by or showing prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination, typically against women on the basis of sex, prejudice, we all prejudge. Prejudging is one of the most important things that you can do when you're getting into a situation, whether it's on the job and I'm a salesperson and I'm going to the job, I'm preparing so I can anticipate what's going to happen in this exchange, whether it's in sports, whether it's in a relationship, whether you're going into a dangerous situation or what may be a dangerous situation or whatever it may be. Being prejudiced is called being intelligent. Stereotyping. I stereotype all the time. Lazy people, I expect them to be a certain way. This person's in particular. Let's just be honest here. Is it stereotypical for me to assume that a woman is not as strong as me physically? Am I stereotyping? I don't know. And then you get to that word of discrimination. See, I've realized more and more that people that try to coddle and appease everybody, people that try to treat everybody the same, that's not doing any good. And we're going to get into it a little bit more, and I'm going to break it down and compare it to a football team and why I think it's very important to differentiate, or in other words, discriminate. Why it's important to be prejudiced, why it's important to acknowledge that we are not the same. Men and women are not the same. We're not built the same. We don't think the same. All these people that, the majority of people that I run into are more religious than me. And when I look at the doctrine, it's clear that the doctrine doesn't believe that we're the same. But then for some reason, we have to live in a world where we're lying to ourselves, lying to everybody else as if men and women are the same, and we are not. And the problem with that is it's almost like, you know what, there's so many different arguments, and I'm going to sound like I'm going all over the place, but you know that argument when people say we don't see color, we're all the same. I align with that in some ways. In some ways, I definitely used to not align with it, but you see color, right? I get the point that you're trying to make, but isn't that what we do when it comes to, like, people don't want, well, I want you to see my color. I want you to recognize that I'm different. I want you to, but why is it different when it comes to sex? Why is it different between determining the man and the woman? Why can't we say, yes, we're different? I don't want you to be seeing me as the same as a woman. I'm not. We bring two totally different things to the table. We bring a bunch of different things to the table, and that's what makes us amazing as partners together. Most partners that work well together don't do the same things. There's a yin and a yang to most relationships. That's why you've always heard the saying, or I've always heard the saying, that opposites attract. So we're going to get into a bunch of these conversations. Matter of fact, I'm glad I checked that. I just realized that my mic wasn't turned on. So I'm probably sounding a little bit better. But we're going to get into a bunch of this. We're going to bring Unc on, and Unc's going to be with us as long as he can be on. Unc, what's up, Unc?
I'm doing fine, nephew. How you?
I'm
I was
doing
having
great.
problems. I was trying to put my headphones on.
Nah. It's all good. It's all good. I wanted you to jump on today, and obviously, whenever, but more importantly today because I felt that I needed a certain level of restraint on this one. And when I say a certain
Mm,
level of restraint, I'm talking about the things that we're going to review. And I would appreciate if you're able to bring some balance to it, or obviously you say what's on your mind, but I think that in a lot of these conversations it helps to have somebody else that you're talking to, because you're not just kind of leaning in on your own trying to make a point. It becomes a little bit more conversational. I think people can understand and relate to it a little bit better, rather than perhaps people feeling attacked or whatever else they may be feeling. So
yeah, you'll get that on a big job.
right. So you're absolutely right. We're gonna go into. I want to start off with this Glorilla video of her winning this BET award for Gospel Artist of the Year, Gospel Inspiration. Then I want to get into this 3-minute video that I saw on Adam and Eve, and I want that to kind of set the tone on where we go from there. I'm not even sure if I should have told you to watch the movie Straw, but as we go through it, I don't think you need to. It's all good if you haven't seen it. And for those that still want to watch it, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna expose some things in it, but it's all good. Look at it like a research project. You still got to go check it out. But let's get into this first video with Glorilla, and I want to get everybody's opinions. I want to get everybody's opinion on this. Here we go.
After she won the BET Awards for Best Gospel Inspiration.
Let me rewind it. My fault.
Okay, you guys, so Glorilla is getting a lot of backlash after she won the BET Awards for Best Gospel Inspirational Award.
This is my first BET Award, even though I've been here 3 years to get nominated 6 times, 8 times. It's a blessing to get the Gospel Award first because I owe it all to God. Shout out to BET too. I love BET too. Shout out to Kirk Franklin.
Now, what song did she win an award for? It was her single Rain Down on Me that was on her last album featuring Kirk Franklin in Maverick City. But again, a lot of people were not happy in the gospel community that she won this award. Now, Dietrich Haddon spoke out about this situation, and he says that the gospel community needs to do better. Now, me personally, growing up in the church, I will say a lot of songs on my gospel playlist is the old school songs, okay? We're talking about 90s, early 2000s, Mississippi Mass Choir. If you know, you know. I really don't have a whole lot of new gospel songs on my playlist. Now, I want you guys to listen to what Dietrich had to say about Glorilla winning this award. Do y'all feel like she was deserving of this award? Do you feel like the gospel community needs to step their game up? Do you feel like the gospel music is not what it used to be? Y'all let me know what you think in the comments below, but listen to what he had to say, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, so when I first saw that, I thought of the movie. I was thinking about the movie Sinners. I was thinking about a whole bunch, and I just wonder why does every single aspect of Black culture, American culture, and it's growing to become not just a Black issue, but an American issue. Why do we lean into and welcome the most detrimental influences in what are supposed to be the most sacred spaces in our lives? Why do we need to bring a Glorilla who's a super, I'm just being honest, most of the rappers are an ignorant rapper who, in my opinion, is not pushing anybody culture in a positive direction, but it seems like they try to niggerize every single thing to influence Black people in particular, but then overall culture to move in the most dumb directions. Am I seeing this wrong, or
No, nephew. No. Listen, when when you're talking about history in that fashion and what we consider to be today hip hop, the hip hop culture has changed in such a way it's completely flipped 180 degrees from the time when hip hop first started. But then you got to also remember, and most people your age don't remember when Hollywood used to make two people, a man and a woman, even they were Mr. Brady and Mrs. Brady, they had separate beds. As a matter of fact, I think it was the Brady Bunch was the first time they actually showed a family, husband and wife, in the same bed. Lucy, on the other hand, her and Ricky had separate beds.
Lucy.
It was the quality of what we respected as Americans and what we allowed on television and broadcasts, that we no longer have those abilities to withstand certain things. But to be honest, how the hell does Glorila get an academy for anything in the church? I mean to say, she should be one of them types of women that's shaking and sweating in the muse. You know what I'm saying? For real, she's shaking her ass like it just don't matter. If I was her father, I might be okay with it to a certain point, but as a black man, this is what younger people live for. You in Miami. You know what I'm saying? They famous for that. All that booty shaking and hot pocket shaking and all that type of stuff. Today's culture is completely different than 20 years ago. And 40 years ago, it seems like horse and carriage versus Tesla. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's really no difference between what people used to do, let's say in the boogie down room back in the 30s, than what they do today. Nothing's really changed. Everything's got a new name, and they internet it now. You got TikTok and Instagram and all of these other big major ways to promote negative activity. So you get that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you get that on a big job, because trust me, today's politics and today's society, dude, we living in some gospel times, really.
Right. Like Sodom. I feel like it's Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't really know these stories, to like even the story of Adam and Eve. That's why I said I'm looking it up. Like, I'm noticing all these little things of how we are so tempted by our sins, and the reason why we're tempted by our sins is because they're dangled in front of us by these powers that be, the same people that claim that they're supposed to try to advance us. Now, not that I ever looked at BET as anything that was going to be a positive influence for black people, to be totally honest, but that's what they try to stand on in a lot of ways. So when I look at across the board with, and we're going to finish this video real quick, because one of the gospel artists did speak out on this and did acknowledge some of the things that we're saying here. But when you just look overall, it seems like it goes back to like Roman times, where they're just trying to put every single distraction in front of our face in order to either emotionalize us with rage and anger to hate each other, or to distract us from being okay with certain things that we'll be discussing a little bit later, like let's say happening in the Middle East. And it's just one of those things where I'm just looking back and disappointed in the majority of people that I run into that are okay with being distracted, that are okay with not using their voice to stand out and speak on certain things. And in my opinion, it's going to get to a point where things are going to crash. We're going to crash in a lot of different ways. And then people will be sitting here turning around wondering like, oh, well, what happened? Well, what happened? And it's because things didn't get nipped in the bud in the beginning, in my opinion. Or it's like we can't anticipate what's going to happen. We haven't seen this same story in the Middle East. We haven't seen this same story impact American culture, black culture. Like, we've seen all these things happen already.
Well, really, yes, we have. Really, yes, we have. I was talking to Mush just the other day, and he was asking me, he was like, yo, I'm depressed about all of this. This is the first time I'm seeing this.
Facts.
Nephew, this happens every 8 to 10 years. We went to war with Iraq how long ago? Before that, we was in skirmishes, unlike Vietnam. But before Vietnam, all the way, you can go back to George Washington. This is how the country got started, by a war. And they don't kick hookers out of bars. You know what I'm saying? They'll kick a pimp out of bar, but they won't kick a hooker out of bar. You know what I'm saying? So there's always a very dividing line between most people's bullshit. But today's politics, if you, an old head like myself, when I look at today's politics, because I'm a straight right Republican, I bullshit you not. I've been voting Republican ever since the 80s. Saying it was the second time I ever had to vote. I changed from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party in 1986. Yeah. Overall, to get back to what we really talking about, this life that we live in today, nephew, the drama that you're seeing at 37, I've seen when I was 37. I also saw when I was 17, and so forth and so forth. And if you stop to ask older heads what type of real drama that they would be afraid of, it's politics. Because trust me, everyone votes for their pockets. Rich people vote with their pockets. Poor people vote with their pockets. There is no person that votes in a Democratic or Republican Party that doesn't have an economical side to the way that they're voting. Me and you voted the way that we voted economically. Whenever you break down the rules and everything else, what we really liked about a person and what we didn't like, it's always about economics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Unc. Yo, I didn't. Yo, I'm being totally honest with you. I didn't, and the reason why I didn't vote, like the economy, like, and let me say, when I say I didn't, I'm gonna explain this, and maybe I actually did, but I wasn't seeing it that way. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at it, we have a culture problem, and maybe that's just because my background is sports. To the point where I look at what is the culture of the team? What is the culture of our mission? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is our goal when we sit down before the season and we look at, okay, these are the things that we want to do. That doesn't even matter unless we have the right culture that can align with accomplishing those goals. So when I look at the country and looking at like where we are with boys playing sports against women, with where we are with paying for all these, sponsoring all these different wars that have absolutely nothing to do with us, where we are with incentivizing all these migrants to come here, where we got to pay all these different cultural issues, where we're playing with the minds. And in my mind, I look at a lot of the whole trans things, with the things that we're allowing certain kids. You got doctors telling parents and kids that it's okay for them to start taking puberty blockers at 8 to 10 years old when they start going to puberty, all these different things. And I'm just like, yo, this is a cultural problem. I don't care about the economy. Now, I do think, now it may be a privilege of me to say that, because I do also think that Donald Trump is going to be better on the economy. So I do think that. But when it came to who I was really locked in with, RFK Jr., before he dropped out, it was all culture. It had nothing to do with the economy. I'm like, yo, forget the economy. Like, now, let me say this. I also understand that from a team sports perspective, that the culture is still going to, that's going to be the foundation that gets you the wins in the end. So it's still going to help impact the economy and all these different things. But I just prioritize the culture. Like, we're living in times, in my opinion, that we are just, it's just cowardly times when it comes to men, in my opinion. And it's just women that are fiending for power, that are fiending for recognition. It's almost like the roles have reversed in a lot of ways. But when I see this story of Adam and Eve, which we'll look at when we finish this video, as I'm going through the video, I'm like, yo, this is exactly what's happening right now. This is exactly what has happened with our society. Man just got emasculated and wanted to appease women, and now look where we are, and it's like the same things that are happening. I'm like, yo, because I never really dug into the story of Adam and Eve.
I remember the 70s when women started burning their bras. I bullshit you not. I remember the 70s when women started burning their bras, and most men back then used to be like, okay, that all sound good until you need to move a refrigerator or all your furniture.
But nowadays men are such suckers, in my opinion, that they'll still help the woman move the refrigerator. Even it's like you just give this person everything.
The masculinity from men today is completely different. For real. Back when I was growing up, masculinity was something that especially black men in the hood prided themselves on. That stroll instead of walk, that the way you stand, the way you respond to a person, all of that was prominent, which we still have in society, and it's just been upgraded. Mm-hmm. Now, like I've said before, everybody wants to be a rapper. No one wants to be the studio exec. Mm-hmm. Why? That's where all the money's going. You know that's where all the money's going. But you take 100 kids and 98 of them would probably tell you, I'd prefer to be the dude with the mic. I want to be Tupac.
Mm-hmm. Because it's intoxicating to be the star. It's intoxicating to be the star.
Exactly.
That's what. Yeah. And let's watch the rest of this video. But real quickly, before you mentioned before that, you know, Merce reached out to you and said, you know, like, I'm depressed over all this stuff. That's exactly where I am. I'm glad that you brought that up. Let me be very clear. A lot of times I think that when I become depressed over a situation, a disappointing situation, my natural response is to react directly to it. So it comes across as if maybe I'm just angry at something. Like I'm pissed off because of what's going on. And this is all just depressing. The value of life is depressing. When I hear certain people discuss the Palestinians' lives, it's depressing how you speak about these things as if you're just not like playing a video game, getting kills it's depressing. You know what I mean? It's depressing how we look at certain things and we just resort to war for everything. Like, oh, let's go to war. Let's start just killing people. It's depressing. But let's watch the rest of this. Matter of fact, I don't even think we need to watch the rest of this video. The Glorila video. Let's actually move on to this Adam and Eve video, because I want us to just go through this and then see if there's any things that directly relate to what's going on right now, because like we've been talking about, a lot of this stuff has happened before, but the cycle, it just continues to repeat. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. It's like, we see things in a cycle like this, right? Everything goes in a cycle like this, but really it's like a spiral, because you're going along the same things, but everything is escalating. As you know, we're going through the same things, but it's more and more extreme because of social media, because the guns are more advanced.
That's why infinity looks like the number 8.
Damn.
That's just why infinity looks like the number 8. It spirals. You know what I'm saying? You know, the interesting thing about Adam and Eve, in every religious culture, there is a documented story of the first person. The Islamic version differs slightly from the Judeo-Christian version. The Hindu version differs slightly. Then you have cultures in Africans like the Hutu tribe and places and people like that have their own beliefs about where humans came from, origin stories. You go back to Aborigines, they have a serious story to tell about their birth. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The Hawaiians, everyone on the planet, even Chinese culture has the way that their society and history was built on the back of a dragon. When it all boils down to it, that story is really, really important for every child to get to understand. And to me, the Judeo-Christian religion is something that everyone should be exposed to, especially in America. I wouldn't say promoted the way that some states want to do it in school, but balance that in at the same time. But it's a very, very good story. Go on, nephew. Go on.
I'm gonna throw it on right now. Hold on. Let me make sure you guys are seeing it. All right. And yeah, let's just press play.
Adam and Eve, a story of choice and grace. Today we embark on a very special journey, a story that is not just about the beginning of humanity but about love, freedom, and responsibility. The story of Adam and Eve is not just an ancient tale. It is a mirror reflecting our own choices and struggles today. In the beginning, God created Adam, shaping him from dust and breathing into him the breath of life. Seeing that it was not good for man to be alone, he formed Eve from Adam's rib to be his perfect companion. Together, they lived in the Garden of Eden, a paradise where they walked in harmony with God, free to enjoy everything, except for one thing, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God commanded them, "You may eat from any tree but not this one, or you will surely die." This was not just a rule but a test of love, trust, and free will. One day the serpent, cunning and deceitful, approached Eve and whispered,
"Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?"
Eve replied,
"We may eat from any tree except this one, or we will die."
Overcome by the desire for power and wisdom, Eve took the fruit, ate it, and gave some to Adam.
Yo, I just wanted to stop it so many times just right there. Are we realizing, hold on. First off, when I'm seeing this, it's like, who's this serpent? And when you think about how women have been manipulated by certain people who whether it's the Democrats and the liberals trying to manipulate women into saying, hey, you don't need a man, you don't need the government coming in and being your new man. So now instead of going 50-50 with a man, now you'll go 50-50 with the government. The government has control over you. That's your new man.
Well,
and it's, you know what I mean? And it's convincing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a word for that. Welfare.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's like welfare becomes your new man. And what is it? And what did it say that was the reason why she wanted to eat the fruit? She couldn't overcome. She was overcome by the desire for power and wisdom. That is exactly what certain powers that be have done. They've convinced women like, hold up, why don't you have a lot of power? Why can't you be the protector? Why can't you be the provider? And that is intoxicating for women. The same way we talked about how everybody wants to be the artist rather than the executive producer. It's like, ladies, y'all are the mothers. Y'all have amazing positions that y'all are. Y'all are the wives. These are amazing positions that you can play. The man plays his position. But it's like that grass being greener on the other side where it's like, oh, nah, I want what they got. I want all the privilege that I have. I want all the power that I have in my place, but I also want the privilege and power that they have in their role. And that's, in my opinion, how women have been finessed.
I call that Ellen DeGeneres syndrome. For real. I call that Ellen DeGeneres syndrome. Because I know some guys that, just like you were talking about last Friday at 10 o'clock, they used to watch Ellen DeGeneres. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Wasn't we just going to play ball? You know what I'm saying? You talking about you about to go do what? Watch Ellen DeGeneres. For real? But
it really is.
Society that we live in today, men have that. Fred Sanford used to be like, yeah, he got that. It's not so much about they've gayed down societies in such a way that men don't have a masculine sense in reasoning anymore. Most men think it's not masculine to wash dishes. Nigga, you just ate all that food. Wash that pot.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
At the same time, you can't expect a girl, like, let's say you got an 8-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. If you got that type of split between kids, it would be good to say she got to cut the grass the same way he got to cut the grass. But today, oh no, you got people going to goddamn Publix and restaurants in their pajamas, and they think it's cool. How? This is the same clothes that you just slept in. You got straight up out your house and went and got food.
Yeah.
Some of them is on the bus.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on in society? I mean, really, you know what I'm saying? But to add to the Adam and Eve thing, dude, woo, look, the way that I've always felt this story myself is that from the very first time I heard this story, I had a question. Where'd the little snake come from, and how come she could talk to snakes? Now, when I was going to church coming up, this is probably 1973, 1974. We used to go to a church, and it was mandatory for me to do Sunday school. So one day I got my hand up and I asked the dude, I was like, well, I just went to the, Smithsonian Museum, and we saw dinosaurs. But yet and still, in 1974, they were saying that life didn't exist before Christ. You know what I'm saying? So even religion gets caught up in the bullshit of time. And what we've got right now between men and women is the bullshit of time. Because most women, it's nothing wrong with a woman being the CEO, CFO of a company. That's a beautiful thing. But you have more women and more men deciding that sexuality and the game of sex is the way that they can best get there. And that takes on a whole new meaning to what's fair between you and I. You know what I'm saying? But
it's a certain type of women. It's a certain and what I'm noticing is that, like, certain women, when I like the ones that I would trust to lead in a particular role, those are the ones, honestly, that are not tripping off being a leader. Like, it's the same thing with policing in a lot of ways. Like, the cops that want to be cops. In my opinion, a lot of the people that I see that aren't cops and don't want to be cops, they would be great cops. And I'm using it. Let me get back to the actual point. But the women that I see that get overcome with their lust for power, and in my opinion, it still falls on the man in some ways, because it's the snake, the serpent. Usually it's a man that is leveraging something, the woman's perceived lack in a particular area, and comes and says, oh, you should have this, you should have that. That guy's not giving you that. You don't feel like you have that. And it's manipulating that woman to now she's using whatever and whenever. There's no rules, there's no boundaries of what I will use to get this power. And that's what I'm seeing happening in this story of Adam and Eve. There was no following the rules. There was no appreciating the fact that we're in this amazing garden with all these amazing fruits, all these things. But there's one tree that God said, hey, just leave that one alone. And that's the one tree that, because you have this fear of missing out, because you are so intoxicated with having what everybody else has, now you have to eat from that tree and compromise not only your life, not only your well-being, but Adam's well-being. And shame on Adam because Adam then took a bite out of it as well, being now led by a woman who we know can use her amazing gifts that she has to influence a man in a particular way. Now, we got to be stronger. this generation, and let me touch on what Professor King said, because fellas got to be stronger. There's just too many weak men out here that are so emotional and just emasculated, in my opinion. But let me read this and you tell me what you think. So Professor said, why things are worse. Matthew 12, 43 to 45. When an evil spirit comes out of a man, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to the house that I left. So let me read that again to myself. When an evil spirit comes out of a man, it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to the house that I left. And all right, now let me read the second one. When it arrives, it finds the house unoccupied, swept clean and put in order. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. When it arrives, it finds the house swept clean and put in order. Then it goes and takes the 7 other spirits more wicked than itself. All right, so I got to really break this one down. Oh, I don't know. I got to think about this one a little bit. I think I understand the message here. And let me see. Professor wrote, and the final condition of that man is worse than the first. That is how it will be with this wicked generation. So I do definitely understand. I think I comprehend that. Things are only going to get worse if we don't address these things now. We keep allowing certain things to just, oh, no, we're cool with that. We're cool with this. We're cool with that. And all it does is invite, it's a snowball effect, in my opinion.
This is why I keep saying that people need to educate themselves, because when I use the word education, I don't necessarily mean one general idea of, well, you need to know math. No, you need to know everything. As a person, you should be literate on every subject. You should, if a Chinese person in Chinatown calls you nigger, you should at least be able to say, oh, not me. You know what I'm saying? For real. That's the way I look at it. Now, I know everybody don't look at it that way, but I take a lot of pride in knowledge. Every day, a man should learn something. From the cradle to the grave, you learn. When you were born, you didn't know what that felt like. When you die, you won't know what that feels like. Those are 2 things that God kept from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When you start to think about life and death, you may go through the suffering of a gunshot wound before you pass away, but that blink, you don't know what that felt like. The same blink when you was born, you don't know what that felt like. And all of these are just some of the mysteries that God kept to himself. The veil, according to Islamic tradition, that's in front of man. But humans, we don't look at, we progress generationally, and we digress generationally, because I often tell people 10,000 years ago, man was smarter than they were today. We built the pyramids 15, 20,000 years ago. We can't figure out how they did that today. How?
Yeah. No, that's a fact. That's a fact. And IROC wrote, men and women should be a team, both equally valued for their masculine and feminine qualities, grow together. And see, this is the thing. And tell me where I'm wrong, if I'm wrong. Men don't like it. It's 2 different teams, or it's 2 different people coming together for a particular team, two roles. If the person in one role is not jealous of the other person in the other role, but meanwhile, the person in one role wants what the other role, let me forget all the analogies. Men are not out here trying to give birth. Men are not out here trying to be women. And actually, let me kind of rephrase that. Maybe that's where things are going. But before this, in my opinion, it was women wanting the things that man wanted, or that man was responsible for. It's like all these things, I guess men make it look good, men make it look, and I get it. You know, it's maybe it's the things that men are responsible for that are more exciting that the women look at it for. But men are not out here trying to take the roles of women. Women are out here like men. We know we can't do this by ourselves. We're not out here trying to IVF by ourselves and have kids and talk about women ain't I can do bad all by myself. That's not a man. I don't hear too many men saying that. Now maybe that's just the men that I'm around, or maybe that's just my little bubble. I don't know. I don't see that. But it's the women that are so finessed and manipulated. And it's happened with a lot of the movements. You saw the civil rights movement. It got finessed. The reason why that stopped is because women got convinced to just focus on the women's movement. All these different areas that we see, it's like, why don't you just play your position, play your role? But instead, we're the coach. It's like the coach that's trying to convince the 350-pound 6'5" lineman that you could play wide receiver. Okay, now that you convinced that, now the wide receiver, now they're going to have to play lineman maybe. So now when the wide receiver is playing lineman and he's 5'10", 180 pounds trying to block a defensive end or a D tackle who's 350 pounds, what does that end up doing? Now that hurts the entire team. Now you just hurt the quarterback. You just got the running back killed. Just because the coach wanted everything to be fair. Hey, everybody can play every position. No, there's certain roles for a reason. There's certain things that people are better equipped at. And a lot of this stuff only happens in privileged situations, a privileged society. When your team is so good that they're up 50, they're up 30, they're up 40, yeah, they can play around a little bit. They can have the big tackle go out and catch a pass. But when it's crunch time and you haven't afforded your team those things, you need to put everybody in the best position to win for the team. And then once you become privileged enough because you're winning enough and you're successful enough, then maybe you can start putting, other players in different positions. But even as I'm saying this, that's the damn problem. America's become so damn great to everybody that people become entitled and people feel that we deserve certain things and the government should be doing this and this should be doing it and everything should be fair, when in all reality, the only reason why we think that is because we live in such a privileged society. Just my opinion, though.
This is very true. This is very true. But and see, let me throw a piece of KRS-One. KRS-One put it best when he said that he witnessed his homeboy making money selling drugs. He got his brother involved. Next thing you know, they were eating steak, not beans and franks. His sister got cleaned up. These are all parts of that illusion that we see. And that illusion is fast money. Fast money will destroy things faster than the hands that it run through. But most people are not taught that. You know what I'm saying? Most people, this is why you're successful and I'm sitting where I'm sitting. Half the people we know that didn't go that route are not. I'm sure in between our ages, we probably know at least 5 or 6 people that we both went to school with that's doing life or ain't nowhere around anymore because of the life that they chose. These are parts of life that we grow accustomed to, but we're not taught these things. Because I tell people this all the time. There's no public assistance for gangsters. Yeah, there's no such thing as a retirement plan for a robber. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And people that go in and out of prison, you might as well have become a fucking prison guard. You're gonna spend 20 years doing it. At least he gonna get a watch when his 20 years is up. You know
I agree. I agree.
You can't reason common sense to most people when it comes down to it. The only way people fall out of that illusion is when they either hit the bottom or they hit the top. In between, most people, they can't pay attention to that. They got to live their 40-hour work week, whether it's clocking dope, washing cars, or taking care of patients. It don't matter. And that's the spectrum. You can go from the bottom of the spectrum to the top of the spectrum. and it's all the same. Your 40-hour work week consumes all of your time, and most people, they don't have that opportunity to sit back and think about the next 4 years. Keep in mind, a lot of people don't understand when the country was being formed, the founding fathers said they had a 500-year plan. They didn't say, oh, we're going to do this for 50 years or just until it works. No, it was a 500-year plan. You know what I'm saying? We get taught that in history books, but once again, we shoot right by that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure everybody that heard that is like, oh yeah, they did say that. But you don't really stop to think about it. It's like the apple. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure when Eve brought the apple to Adam, Adam was probably like, well, what is that? And Eve might not have told him what it was. She might have been like, here, eat a little of this and kissed him with some. So we never know how bad me and you been screwed by women prior to this.
No, it's
oh man.
It's I'm thinking as you're saying that, I'm looking at the comment that iRock wrote, right? And even when you say, I want to make sure, because I go back and forth on whether it's women that are screwing us or if it's man's lack of leadership that is manipulating the one, you know what I mean? And the reason why I say that is because I'm explaining it when I break down this comment that iRock wrote. Value the feminine role as much as men, and they won't want what men have. That sounds amazing, but it's not realistic. See, the problem is, and what it speaks to, and iRock, hear me out on this. What it speaks to is people can't control their ability to want what other people have rather than just being content and happy with what you have. And let me explain this. On a football team, everybody else from the outside looking in may not value the lineman or the backup quarterback as much as the quarterback, or as much as the wide receiver, as much as the running back. But the internal team knows. The team knows how valuable that left tackle is. That's why they get paid more than and as much as some quarterbacks. Obviously, the quarterback's going to get paid the most, but the left tackle may get paid more than the running back, and the running back scoring all the touchdowns. In my opinion, iRock, internally, I don't see a lot of men that don't appreciate, or let me not say that. I think that internally is not the problem of men appreciating women. I think there's a lot of men in relationships. In your relationship, the man appreciates his wife, his girlfriend. What I see happening is it's the external factors, us comparing everything to social media, to Instagram, to this, comparing our relationship to that relationship. That's where the problem comes in. So it's not enough for just a man to value his woman. The woman wants what everybody else has because they're intoxicated by the external factors. So when you look on a football team, the easiest way to break up a football team or to break up the culture that we talked about earlier, it's to try to convince. And this is why when teams win championships, the players on the team get big heads and it breaks it up because they want to go to other teams, because now other outside teams, external people, are telling those people that are supposed to be on the inside of that core team, hey, you're better than what you're getting paid. You're worth more than, why are they undervaluing you? You should be getting paid more. You should be getting celebrated more. You should be getting more credit for what you're doing. That's what's happening with women. And then what happens? You end up leaving. Kevin Durant, you leave the Golden State Warriors because you think you're bigger than what you are, and now you don't win. Kyrie Irving, you leave the Cleveland Cavaliers because you think you're bigger than what you are. And now you're speaking now from a more mature standpoint, saying, looking back, damn, I wish I could have worked this thing out with LeBron or approached it in a more mature way. But you're allowing the outside voices to convince you that you're not worth, or your role is not valued enough. It's not, men are not sitting here in relationships saying, hey, woman, your role isn't important. It's the external factors. It's the outside people. And that's because we are so intoxicated with what everybody else thinks about us, rather than just being happy with what our man thinks about us. That's why when we'll go out, women will go out and try to look beautiful for the rest of the world. Beautiful for the rest of the world. Will post every picture, will take their time looking so sexy for the rest of Instagram. Dudes that they're not in a relationship, dudes that they don't even care about, they say. But then when it comes to their man, they won't be sexy with their man. They won't try to be attractive to their man. It's all about being intoxicated with the external factors that convince women that they want something outside of their role, because they don't feel like it's being valued enough by other people, and they're really just getting finessed. That's just my opinion.
Well, really, it's a good opinion to have, because to me, I think a lot of what we have today in younger women is they like that demonstration of exposure. Dental floss. Let me put it that way. They'll wear dental floss if they thought it looked good on them at a poolside. And I just got through telling one of my nephews this the other day. My wife, before I got married to her, she used to wear them tight girl shorts. Mm-hmm. One day I looked at her and I was like, where you going with those? And she looked at me and was like, I'm going to the store. What the hell you ain't? Them is, I need a boyfriend shorts. You need to go put on some I got a husband shorts. And she knew exactly what I meant, went and changed.
They know. And they still do, they still will try you anyway. I've been in certain situations where I'm sitting here looking at what she got on and I'm like, she knows that she shouldn't be wearing that shit out, but she will test it. And then when you say something about it, it'll be a whole thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm just doing it. No, you know damn well you shouldn't be wearing that. But because society has convinced you, I told the story before of us I remember we were out in Super Bowl and this California clown talking about, I think the Uber driver, I think women should be allowed to wear whatever they want to wear. It's like, and see, this is the thing, even to your point. Oh, damn, my fault. I cut you off. Go ahead. My fault.
No. What I was saying was, it's pretty much the same damn thing. I got a lot of nieces. Some of them, when, if they're going out at night, they may not, if they at my house or their mom's house, they might not wear what they gonna wear at the club out. They'll put that in their bag, go to their girlfriend house and put it on. Because and that there's one of the biggest problems that most people have, let's say in between the ages like 16 and 24, women will do stuff like that. Because by the time you're 24, and most women are out the house, because my mom used to say, two women that smelling their ass together ain't gonna stay in the same room. And my father,
say that again.
Two women that smelling their ass can't sit in the same
room together. Yep.
Mm-hmm. My father used to say, boy, if you want to be happy in life, marry an ugly woman. I'm glad I didn't follow up on that, but I'm sure I'd have been a lot happier.
Yo, you want to know what's crazy? I've had conversations like that with some of my homeboys. I've had those conversations, and it's not the beautiful women, in my opinion. It's the fact that going along with current society. The current society and current culture is usually culture because it impacts the majority of people in a particular demographic. That's what makes it culture. People have to buy into it. If I'm talking about the things that I'm talking about and nobody else is listening and nobody else is pushing it, I can't say that, I'm setting the culture. No, I'm not. I'm just a loud voice in a big room and nobody get, you know what I mean? Like that's really all it is. But when you look at society and culture with what women have been finessed with in order to feel good about themselves, that's what more power, and everything is a pushback. Everything is, well, why can't I wear this? Well, why can't I do this? Well, why can't I do that? There's plenty of things that men are perfectly fine with the fact that we can't do. There's certain things that we can't do. It is what it is. That's called rules. But in my opinion, when I see it happening is women will bend rules. And this is what I'm looking at when I see the Adam and Eve story. Women will bend rules based on, they will rationalize what they want and then move the logic around that way, rather than what a man should be, which is, this is just the right thing to do, this is the principal thing to do, and that's what we're doing. Whether it benefits me or not, whether it hurts my son in his football game, it doesn't matter. That's the right thing to do. We got to teach lessons. There have to be certain rules that we're willing to live by. And I'm just observing. So that's what I said. People could say I'm sexist. People could say what it is. But when I look around and I look at all these people that are more religious than me, your Bible says it. Your books say it. The story of how Adam and Eve were created says it. So why is it sexist or whatever else? And I think Professor King, she had a couple comments saying that it's only sexist or it's only discrimination if it's unjust. I don't see what's unjust here. We are different. There's certain things that women need from men. There's certain things that men need from women. But
next time you go down to Georgia and you speak into Rick Ross, ask him, when he was a prison guard, what he would have preferred being around, men or women. Guaranteed, he'd tell you, oh, I ain't taking no women prisoners. Yeah, I ain't doing no women prisoners, because women prisoners are a hell of a lot more difficult than men prisoners. And
damn, I never even thought about that.
So when you think about society, there's a lot of parts of society that women hold a stronghold on that men don't. Because you say you're sexist, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, but you may have a different view and an opinion about the way some things are, and that's good. That's good. Everyone should have their own opinion. It's like assholes. Everybody got one. But the point to all of that is some people don't know where to stop with the game. Women play a lot of games, and they get taught those games in different than an eighth grade boy is not as smart as an 8th grade girl.
Facts.
Just saying. For real. Now, you might be in sports, but in the 8th grade, she's learning a whole new trade. You know what I'm saying? In today's times. And this is part of the problem that you're addressing, because of the way that kids are being raised. And it's become a societal issue, and women don't have the same household training that they would have had 30 years ago. It's common nowadays for you to see chicks just throwing it up. You know what I'm saying? They just brawling for no reason. Oh, girl, your hair better than mine. That type of stuff. We had them problems 30 years ago, but women didn't take advantage of it the same way they do today. And on that scale, it's just a big thing. You didn't have women truck drivers 30 years ago like you did today, but it's a sign of the times. You know what I'm saying? And you can't really put a term on it like you're being sexist or something like that on yourself to say that way, because It's just a new time and a completely different generation of women that you're exposed to than I was exposed to. Women today, 9 times out of 10 of them, they would do some like dirty stuff in public only because they gonna get off on it more than them getting off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean like sexual?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And 40 years ago, you might have found that, but she'd have looked at you like, oh no, we're not doing that here. You know what I'm saying? Oh no, we're not doing that here. But today, society has taught people to become a lot more ill masculine to themselves. And what I mean by that is that a lot of young people, they don't respect themselves the same way older people respected themselves. They don't respect their rights. They don't respect your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Part of the problem that most people have today, that's like under 40, is they don't know how to communicate. And communication is key in life. I told this to my wife the other day. We was driving, and I was like, listen, I know your first language wasn't English. And she looked at me like, oh, what? And yeah, because what I'm telling you, you're not understanding. So apparently whatever I'm telling you, you just not getting it. So your first language couldn't be English.
Oh my God. And sometimes it'll feel that way.
Yeah, but
and we're not bashing. And I want to be clear when I say, like, and I hope it's not coming across as bashing women. It's like, ladies, wake up. You are powerful. You do have a lot of influence. You do have the power to shift man's mind, just like we're highlighting in this story of Adam and Eve. So therefore, if you buy into something that would lead us all in a more positive direction, that would be very important for us. I remember an old on Kiss's album, on Jada Kiss's album, he I forget, I think it's the song with Mariah Carey. And he's like, I would play a song for you and you would let me know exactly how the ladies would respond from a woman's point of view. And then he said something like, because chicks buy records and dudes do what chicks do. Ladies, y'all have a lot of influence on the direction of where things go. In a lot of ways, the fellas, like, we're just out here. I don't know. Let's get back into the story, but that's my main thing. This is not a lack of power. This is just the difference in roles and us just embracing the roles that we are best suited for, especially during times that call it the most. And maybe, and before I press play on the story real quick, I did want to highlight what IROC wrote, which was World War II, women went into the workplace and were praised for holding down the businesses. When men came back, the ladies didn't want to go back to just being mothers when it wasn't a role as praised. I understand that. It feels good to be praised at something, especially something that you have not typically been praised at. But there has to be a certain level, in my opinion, of understanding that, hey, I know I'm the lineman. I know I'm the center. I know I'm the D tackle. I know I'm playing defense rather than offense. I know I'm not scoring the touchdowns. I know I may not get the same amount of praise as everybody else, but for the good of the team, I'm going to be exceptional in my role. That's what it comes down to for me. But let's press play. Let's keep going a little bit. Shout out to all y'all that are leaving some amazing comments. I think Mo, I'm trying to follow, and I know you linked with Mo. You guys were having some good dialogue on the last show.
Yeah, me and Mo, I'm trying to flashing.
Right, and I'm trying to come up with the most. Trying to read some comments. The governor has made it both parents have to work now just to make ends meet, which may be a great thing. And I think what we're it's almost like when they dangle pleasure in front of us, like you were talking about earlier, like the pleasure of all the things, like we find pleasure in the worst things. That's just how we've been. It's just been marketed to us. Maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe that's the story of Adam and Eve, the most pleasurable things, right? Because we can't have that. So it's always like, oh, I want that. The same thing that you're talking about with people being more sexual in public. It turns me on because I'm not supposed to do that. But, and I may have just lost my train of thought. But yeah, maybe that's a good reason for us to just press play, because there was a couple other things that I wanted to. Oh yeah, real quick. The reason why we had relationships maybe at a higher rate was because they were needed back then. Now, like Quee said earlier in the comments, we don't really need that. Women feel that they can work and take care of their own. They can do all bad by themselves, right? They'd rather be by themselves and have their apartment or have a roommate with their girlfriend than have this cheating ass dude, you know, that type of mindset. That's the mindset. So maybe with things where both people have to work, maybe that's the only thing that will force us into valuing a relationship with each other if we can't survive out here on our own. I don't know. I'm just kind of, you know, throwing that out there, but let's press play and see what the story unfolds. See what unfolds in the story.
Desire for power and wisdom, Eve took the fruit, ate it, and gave some to Adam. In that moment, sin entered the world. Suddenly,
I gotta stop it right there. Look at this punk Adam. Like, look at him. He's emasculated. You can see it. He's getting finessed. Look at her eyes. Like she's just misleading this man. All right, real quick. I'm sorry, everybody, but think about it like this. If man only did, like, think about from the times of middle school, elementary school, the type of guys that women were naturally attracted to, the girls. If a kid growing up only did things to appeal to what women want then and now, right? In the now, where would that type of man land? Locked up, out of school, you know what I mean? Dead, perhaps, you know, all these different temptations just because you want to be the cool kid. You want to be the bad boy. You want to be all these things that women think that they are attracted to, because we're all attracted to the things that are our vices in a lot of ways. So we have become the vices because we've adjusted to the things that women are attracted to, just like we're attracted to our vices. So I shouldn't have stopped it, but I just had to say that.
Hot chicks do not like nerds. I'm just saying. Yeah, hot chicks do not like nerds. How many dime pieces do you see hanging out?
Right.
The nerd, none. Yeah, but you go to the gangster. This is the reason why Chwendowaga was doing so good, and half them naked women shaking their tits on TikTok and all them other places. They got going. You know what I'm saying? Because women they prefer a bad guy. Yeah, a drug dealer get more game than a bookworm.
You're right. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So therefore you start doing things in the present, whether it's fast money or whatever, to make you cool in the moment, rather than prioritizing the overall purpose of what you know is going to put you in the most successful path or on the most successful path moving forward. That's what we see.
That dude, that Adam didn't become the Archie Bunker though. He became the Felix Unger.
Right. Who's Felix? Hold on. Oh, break it down. I know Archie.
That particular Adam, the way that you said that, this guy, he would have become a Felix Unger.
Who's Felix? For a lot of us, though, I don't know who that is.
The Odd Couple.
I'm Googling it right now. So I'm assuming that Felix was more of a soft, emasculated guy.
He was the soft guy, not the Oscar. There was Oscar,
I need an Archie,
masculine man, and Felix, the feminine guy. Now in the show, they couldn't show Felix to be a gay guy because back then Hollywood didn't promote that type of stuff. But he always had that tendency. You know what I'm saying? You as the viewer viewed it that way. That's who this Adam would have turned out to be.
That's a fact, bro. And that just goes to show you how all these influences, and we'll talk a little bit later about the movie, but the things that we see in shows, the things that we see in movies, the things that we hear in music, All of those things are manipulating us. They're leading us one way or another. It just is what it is.
Right at a time.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what I saw somebody write something. And shout out to Craig. Craig, I agree. I agree with women have been convinced to hate men. I agree. That's the natural one. And then the exceptional, you got to be exceptional for women to like you nowadays. But Craig said, rather go 100 and struggle than 50-50 comfortable. Girl mad. That I'm with you, bro. Let's keep going. And that's the whole matter of fact. Now that you're saying that, Craig, hold on. Now that Craig is saying that, because at first I think I didn't read it wrong. Rather go 100 and struggle than 50-50 comfortable. This movie Straw, that like I hope a lot of y'all go see this Tyler Perry movie on Netflix, not to go support Tyler Perry, to be totally honest, but for us to learn from it. So if you're going to support Tyler Perry at the same time, please learn from it, because it's shaping out this woman who's struggling, who they somehow make the heroic character, even though she did certain things that she did. But in all actuality, her main problem was she didn't have a partner. And I'm saying that word partner, I usually use quotes because I don't like it. I just don't like the way that it's said. You need a husband. She didn't have a husband. She didn't have a man. And she's going through all these different struggles that we're justifying. And it's just because she did not have that's a choice that women make. She had a kid, and the first thing that she said was, oh yeah. Sometimes she's making excuses. She said something, I forget exactly what it was. I wrote it down in my notes, but talking about how her baby's father wasn't ish and that she didn't know that he wasn't ish until afterwards. Stop lying. That's the same finesse that we continue to play. You know exactly who that guy was before. So if he was good enough to ejaculate in you, then he should be good enough for you to lock in, rock out with him, and figure out how to work it out for your kids, or just be smarter in the beginning and don't allow these people, these men that show these certain traits, to have sex with you and to have kids. It's simple, but let's keep going. My fault.
Suddenly their eyes were opened, not to divine wisdom but to shame and fear. Realizing they were naked, they covered themselves with fig leaves and hid from God. God called out, "Adam, where are you?" Trembling, Adam answered, revealing his fear. When questioned, Adam blamed Eve and Eve blamed the serpent. No one took responsibility for their actions. As a result, God pronounced judgment. Adam would toil and labor for survival. Eve would endure pain in childbirth. The serpent would be cursed, destined to crawl on its belly.
Unc, I gotta stop it, and this is why I need you on here, because I'm being trolled. So you see the comment that Vons just wrote?
Yeah.
Love me some strong black women. Vons, you keep opening it up, so we'll go down that road. Vons, of course you love strong black women. You want to know why you love, or why a lot of men love strong black women? Because they let you stay in their house without paying bills when they're your mother. And we're seeing a lot of girlfriends do it. Because they cover your bills. They don't pass on the responsibilities that you should be learning that a father would force you to learn. Strong black women will coddle their little boys. They'll raise their daughters to be strong and independent, but they'll coddle their little boys to where their little boys are living in the house with them up until 30, 35, 40. And they've never had an experience outside of the same room that they've grew up in. They've never had an experience. They never had their bills on anything. They've never had to struggle. They've been pushed out there. They treat you the same way. These strong black women that are raising boys, they're treating you the same exact way when you were 5 years old than when you're 35 years old. So you never even learn what it takes to be a man. So therefore, your entire vision and perspective is based on loving that strong black woman because she plays the role of a man in making you, who's playing the role of a woman, feel safe and secure. But let me ask you this, Vons. All these strong black women that you love, do you think they love being strong? Do you think they want to be strong? Do you think they want the responsibility of taking care of their kid? Do you think they want the responsibility of maybe having to stay in the house that they live in rather than going out and getting a nice apartment because they got to worry about their grown-up little boy son? Do you think they want that responsibility? No, they may allow you to think that because they don't want you to feel bad, because they know that they didn't prepare you for, and they're not comfortable for sending you out into the real world, if we're just being honest. All of these strong Black women, ladies, all the women out there, think about the men that say that they love strong Black women. Think about how you're getting finessed. It's like a pimp. It's like, I'm telling you, I love strong Black women. Why? Because I'm getting something out of it. But in reality, fellas, we should be taking on that burden to make that strong Black woman's life a little bit easier. Do you think she wants to be strong her entire life? Isn't that what a son is supposed to do? To relieve the pain, to relieve some of the stress, to relieve some of the burden of their mother? Isn't that how it's supposed to go? Or are we supposed to just sit back and say, oh, I love my strong mother. She still makes me food. She still coddles me. She still reads me bedtime stories. You get what I'm saying? That's what ends up happening. That's what ends up happening, and we're seeing it. And these are the same type of boys that come on here saying that they love strong Black women. In reality, it's because you do not want to take the responsibility like she had to take the responsibility of becoming a man. Relieve her of that burden. Relieve her of that burden of being strong. Do you know how hard it is to be strong? Probably not, because your mom has played that role for you your entire life, so you don't know how tiresome and how burdensome that can become. But I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to say that. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to say that.
Now, see, nephew, my grandmother, when I was growing up, my grandmother, she used to, here's $35, go pay the light bill.
And hold, I gotta address this. I'm not talking about, I don't know Von's living situation. I'll be totally honest.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, but no, I'm looking at some of these comments.
Okay.
And look at what Von's wrote. Dak swear he knows something. Vons, don't tell me. Tell me. It's like that's the whole feminine aspect of all these things. You know what people will say when you're intelligent or you're speaking on something that they disagree with, but you may be right. You know what they say? Oh, he swear he knows something. Well, tell me where I'm wrong. Because see, you're personalizing it for you. I'm just using you as an example in what you say and what you continue to say in public. So I'm gonna address it. I didn't address it the way I addressed it today on Friday, which I could have. But I'm using it as an example to hopefully not only shift your mind, you can think however you think, but clearly you know what I come to do on this show is to shift the minds of people, so therefore we can get out of our own way and do better in society. You're sitting here coming around saying, oh, I love strong Black women. I love strong Black women. You telling me I swear I know something. Vons, tell me where I'm wrong. Don't tell me I swear I know something. Tell me where I'm wrong. My apologies, Unc.
Oh no. What I was gonna say is just adding to what you're saying. When I was a little kid, the phone bill, the light bill, all of that was under $20. My grandmother would give me $35, be like, go pay the light bill, go pay the phone bill, go pay this. But that was, in essence, for me to know that bills need to get paid. Because back then, you can send a child to the store to get cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I show up at AT&T window with a note from my grandmother saying the phone bill was $11. Here's $11. That's it. Bill paid. I'm on my way. They don't have that today. Kids today, they don't have that. This is why you have 35, 40-year-olds sleeping in their mother's basements, still sneaking women in. You know what I'm saying? Girls don't do that. Yeah, a 35-year-old girl, she's not still living at home. If she do, God bless her, that's probably one of them superfied church girls. Yeah, don't nobody know what she looked like under her skirt. You know what I'm saying? But Men, you're right about that. Most men, they'll suck on to what you would consider to be a strong black woman. That ain't strong. She just doing what she got to do to survive and provide, which is at a certain age, it's just wash and repeat, wash and repeat, wash and repeat. That's all she knows. So on her side of the story, that's something she just figures she's stuck with until the day she died. On the man's side, it's usually kind of bad, because I've known men at 25 that couldn't pull on a washing machine. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Oh, I need to wash clothes. I just leave that till my mother get here. You're 35. What do you mean you don't know how to cut the washing machine on? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. And this is why see, there's a difference between, I think that families should stay together. I think women should be in the household in a lot of ways until they marry. You know, they can go to college, are cool, but I think you should be in the household. I think that's what a lot of other cultures do. You see a lot of Eastern European culture. You see a bunch of different cultures doing this. When it comes to what I'm saying about a boy or boys being raised into men, the people that I'm talking about that are at home, they're not relieving the stress and the burden of moms. They're not at home because they're relieving pressure. If that was the case, then mom wouldn't have to be strong. I do not want my mom to be, her claim to fame is I was a strong black woman. That's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, relieve her of that stress. Matter of fact, what's so funny is we will push men to be vulnerable, but then we're celebrating strong black women. How does this work? Men are supposed to be vulnerable. Oh, be a little bit more open, be a little bit more, because this shit is crazy, bro. And I want to be very clear when I say that. I think families should be in the same house. I was trying to buy a crib with my parents. You know what I'm saying? I want that, but you will never ever. That's to relieve their burden. That's to relieve their stress. We don't have the same. Things don't operate the same as when we were kids, when they pay for every meal for me and I'm just, going home to get it free. No, I'm trying to be that. That's the goal. That's what I work for. So I can become that, so I can give that back, so they don't have to be strong. It's tough as shit out here being strong. It's a very tough role. So I can understand and appreciate. I don't want my parents to have to continue sacrificing that. But what do most of our... I don't know, man. I don't know. And I think Ant summed it up correctly. He said there's a difference between living with my parents and taking care of my parents, even in their own home.
Yeah.
And let me ask y'all this. There's certain things that you only learn when you go through it, right? There's certain things that you can sit and watch football film. You can watch tapes of Michael Jordan, but you actually got to play at a certain point in time, right? So that's why, in my opinion, dudes, we should be out here. We should be out here trying to figure out how it is to lead a household. We should be embracing that role. But if we never embrace that role because we have a strong mother that's going to continue to play that role, how do we then transfer when we're in our own relationship, in our own marriage, to be the leader? No, we're going to look for a woman that represents the same things that our mom represented, because that's what we were built to, what role we were built to play. Now I need a strong woman as a wife, because I need to rely on her, because my entire life I've been relying on my mother.
Nephew, part of the problem is though you have a unique way of looking at it, because you do have your mom and your dad. Some people that don't have both parents in the house at some time or the other, and I ain't talking about a physical relationship with somebody's mother, but the son may take I wouldn't say husbandly, but the man role in the house, with a single mom, and the two kind of meet in the middle, she might go out on dates and all of that type of stuff, and all of that. They're not in a physical relationship, but there's that type of an atmosphere. And in today's society, I've seen men and women clubbing with their moms. You know what I'm saying? At no time, I don't think my mother would have ever looked around in a club and either been like, go home, or whoever she's with, I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? Today, society is not like that. You know, like, oh yeah, go have more drinks with your mom. And life is completely different in that aspect. From an older point of view, that just was never cool. And to some people, it still's not cool. But you have a lot of younger parents that, oh, that's just, that's cool. You know, my daughter rolls up blunts for me. What? Are you kidding? Yeah, man, are you kidding? Yeah, no. But this is the times that we live in, and there's some sad, miserable, dreadful times. I could use a lot of 4-letter words for that, but I'm public.
Nah, I get it. And Queez asked the question, how do we define strength in women? Now, you want to go first, or I'll give you the floor.
I define strength in women in a lot of ways. A strong woman understands when to submit to her man, and that's it.
I'm learning, I'm learning, and this is how, when I think of strong women, see, strong women to me, what a strong woman should be, I look over at, I'm over here with it. What a strong woman is in society, based on how society tries to manipulate women, is playing the role of men. What I think a strong woman should be is just like from a team standpoint. I don't think you're strong playing offensive lineman if you're a wide receiver. I want you to be strong at playing wide receiver. I don't need you to be strong at throwing the ball, because your job is to catch the ball as a wide receiver. So when I look at what strength should be, and this goes back to what IROC was talking about earlier, with perhaps us not doing a good enough job of appreciating the roles that women play just in being the woman and being the wife. What I see as being strong, and one of the strongest thing that a woman can do, is the fact that you do not need to be in the spotlight. You do not need to get the type of credit that comes with the protector and provider and the things that a man does in his role. That's what being strong is. To be okay and to be content with playing your role to the best of your ability, because it takes a whole lot of strength to have a child, to be a wife, all these different things. It takes a lot of strength to do those things, to embrace a man, the things that you have to do as a wife when your husband comes in from a bad day or whatever. You're running around, the things that I saw my mom doing. I'm like, yo, you doing all this and you're working, like all these different things. I identify those as strong. But when I look at my mother, I don't ever think of her as this new definition of strength. And to be totally honest, if we're being real, I know how society can impact women overall, because I've had to check my mom on some stuff where it's like, yo, don't let that new age stuff creep in. Nah, you better understand what it is. I'm dead set. I'm being totally honest. Like, nah, stop playing. Like, you know that's dead. Like, you may need a reminder of who my dad is. You get what I'm saying? I've had to say that, because I don't play that bullshit where you're not appreciating, or you're allowing society, and not saying that she's doing this, but I don't play. If I see a little ounce of it, I address it. Y'all can ask my mother. Like, I have my mother jump on. She'll tell you certain stuff that I've said. Like, no, you're wrong on that. You need to listen to dad. Like, that's not happening. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the type of person that I am. I don't.
That's the unique difference between you and a person that has a single parent. Most people that have single parents, the statistic is like 78%. Most single women versus men. You know what I'm saying? So, raising a child, that in that sense. If you have what we consider to be strong women or independent women, there's a difference. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? Now, an independent woman has to be strong because she's independent. But I got a lot of nephews that's good men, and I got a lot of nieces that's good women. But I also got a lot of raunchy ones on both sides. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some of them I look at like, well, I don't know who kid you are. Yeah, where'd you come from? You look like one of us.
That's
Where'd you
hilarious.
learn that? Yeah, that's not cool because I've been with the same lady now for 13 years, but I've known her for 36 years. And I wash dishes, cook and clean, but she washed dishes, cooks and cleans also. It's a 50-50 relationship. You know what I'm saying? If the bills are $2,000 a month and I give her $1,500, she'll take the other money that she could have spent with me and buy herself stuff. That's the type of relationship most men should have. That ain't the relationship most men have. Most women definitely don't have that relationship because they caught up in that life of today where they have to be independent, strong, and at the same time not just vulnerable and submissive to every man that they come in contact with, but they enjoy that mothering attitude. Go ahead, nephew. I see the light.
I gotta ask a question, Unc. Nowadays, women will submit more to their boss at work, to all the men that they work with, than their damn husbands to their damn boyfriends. I'm like, yo, you ain't just talk to your boss like that. You didn't just talk to your coworker like that. What makes you think you literally? My fault. Everybody, I apologize, but I assume that I don't know who's going through what. I don't know if a lot of these things that whenever you speak on certain things that are obviously relevant to you, you're going to be a little bit more passionate about it. And like I said, I just see this as a problem overall. This is why it's so damn hard for men and women to be in relationships, because we're not compatible. Like, we're just not. You said earlier, we don't know how to communicate. Unc, we are literally raised to be independent from each other. Not interdependent. You know what I'm saying? We are raised to be like no wonder why we're not in good relationships. No wonder why we have all these problems. No wonder why we now have kids growing up confused to
positive magnets don't lock up. A positive and a negative locks up. And society nowadays has put it into the mix to where most men and women are positive versus positive. You know what I'm saying? So obviously we're having this particular type of societal issue that you're addressing right now, and it stems. I hear preachers preaching this in church also. Women need to do more for the community. They need to do this and they need to do that, and they need to step up in this kind of way and that kind of way. 20 years ago, a preacher would not have told women in his congregation to do these things. So it's a breakdown all the way around the clock. It's from 12 to 12. It's not just from 12 to 3. You know what I'm saying? So I love the analogies that you give about football, because life in itself is a team sport. We all are on that team. Every American is a linebacker right now for Donald Trump. Every American is a receiver for Donald Trump. He's the president. That's the quarterback. That's the guy. So no matter how you look at society overall, most people don't view it that way. But every gangster's got a godfather. You know what I'm saying? Every hood's got that big homie. You know what I'm saying? And women today, overall, we don't value them as men the way we should, and we overvalue the ones that we shouldn't. There's the biggest part of the problem, because prime example, it might not work this way for YouTube, but it definitely works that way for TikTok. If you got boobs and nothing on, you will get views. But if you go to a adult version, they're not gonna pay you for the same. You know what I'm saying? And overall, this is where we as people are not stepping up enough for each other, because men and women, it takes, I'd say this, they used to say Clinton said it, but I just been saying this for years. It takes a village to raise a child. Saying, yeah, because if a woman's in the house raising 6 kids and the man's at work, the kids are running around in the yard. The neighbors are the ones that's watching them sometimes. But when I was growing up, the neighbor could stop me and be like, yo, what are you doing? You can't do that. Come on, let's go see your grandmother or your mom. Nowadays, that's not cool.
Don't talk to my kid like that.
Yeah, nowadays, that's not cool. In Florida, a woman went to prison because she was trying to scold another woman's children. You know what I'm saying? Now, there were reports that she threw a skate at her, which, if that be the case, then she was out of line. But
She took it a little too far.
yeah.
But we understand the energy. We understand the
Yeah, but I mean, you know, at the same time, that's what I'm saying. There's no boundary anymore in between us as a people. And to add to all of that, us black people, we are the one unique species on the planet. You got Africans, yeah, you got Asians, you got everybody else, but us, we are unique. There's no other people like Black Americans. None. Nowhere on the planet. And we can say that we are, what is it, 30-something% of the economic power in America? Whoa, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Nike, Adidas, all of that, Northern Face, everything that you can think about. If it wasn't for the people in the ghetto, half that shit wouldn't be on the rack.
It's true. That's true. What makes you what other ways? What makes you say that Black Americans are unique? I think I know what you're saying, but I want, yeah.
Well, what I mean by that is, okay, Black people in America, we are a unique species. There is no other species. If you take Africans from Africa, or West Indians from the West Indies, we a completely different breed of people. And that's part of what I mean. What I mean wholeheartedly is genetically, we are different. Even genetically, we are different. So our chemistry is different. Our thought patterns are completely different. Africans, they still have that, if I buy 10, I can sell 9 to my homies. Americans don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? Americans think, well, if they buy 10, I can put 5 away for tomorrow and smoke 5 today.
Yeah, no. So what you're saying, that Black Americans are lost?
I wouldn't put it that far, but We are a unique species and have to be treated with a unique set of remedies. The same remedy that you give to some people, you can't give to us. You know what I'm saying? Because we are completely different than everyone else. we don't live life. Okay, a very prime example is if you went to Georgia and you went to a poor neighborhood in Georgia, black people on one side and poor white people on the other, two complete species. And that is a bigger part of what I'm saying. We are completely different. Now, if you take them white people and put them in California around rich white people, they ain't gonna tell no difference. But you take poor black people and put them in the same California around rich black people, you know the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. For one, I want 30 gold chains. The white people, they're gonna be like, oh, we need to buy 30 gold blocks to put up for tomorrow.
No, I 100% agree, and I think that it's because black people have. I think I saw Vaughn's writing it earlier. He was talking about the foundation of a relationship. I think black Americans are unique because we have no foundation, and that's why we'll just sway whatever's the shiniest object. We'll just go for that because we have no foundational principles. There's nothing to stand on. There's no religion. It just seems like the only thing that we do stand on is the culture that is misleading us the most. Those are the very things that we stand on. I think that we're lazy. I think when it comes to understanding history, we complain about being oppressed, but then if I speak to most black people, if I sit down with most black people and they say, yeah, we're being oppressed, this government doesn't care about us, and I'll start talking to them about their history, they'll recite the very same history that they learned in that public school that they claim was oppressing them. But you never did any due diligence of your own. You never took the time to try to learn anything of your own. You've accepted the things from your quote unquote oppressor, but then want to use that quote unquote oppressor to as an excuse to why you're not where you're at to a certain point. How I look at it is just totally different. I will never, even though I look at myself as unique, I really don't look at myself as unique. I just think that our circumstances and our experiences make us unique, but then we get to a certain point where ultimately it's what we do, what we decide to do in those circumstances. Yeah, things may be a little bit more difficult for me in one way, but things may also be a little bit more easier in some ways. So there's never going to be anything that's equal across the board. It's just on me to be responsible for my own success or lack thereof by my actions and what I'm doing in my current situation. You get what I'm saying? So I get that it's unique, but what's always pisses me off and stands out to me is that we don't ever address those unique things. We always want to rely on other people that we claim are against us, the white man, all these other things, to address those needs. When's the last time that you read a book about your history? When's the last time that you did some due diligence on a religion? You claim that these are the people that oppressed you, but then you praise the same religion the same exact way that it was taught to you by the people that were oppressing you. You've never even taken a step back to even say, maybe the way that this religion was taught to me, maybe it's not the book that's a problem. Maybe it's just the way that this religion was taught to me. It was to keep me a little bit behind. Maybe it was taught to me to be obedient while it was taught to other people to embrace the other aspects of it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, things being different, things being unique, it is what it is. But I'm more concerned with the fact of what are you going to do now that you've recognized that you're in a unique situation? What are you going to do with it? Because ultimately the responsibility is going to always fall on you. That may not be fair. That may not be the way that it should be, but that's the way that it is.
Well, to me, the part of what I'm saying about being unique as a Black American is the idea that here's the difference: Miles Davis and Bob Marley.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz is an American. It's all American, really. There was no jazz made in Japan. There was no jazz being copied in China. Jazz is all American. Same thing with reggae music. Reggae music is unique to the West Indies. Bob Marley made that famous. In today, you have so many different people that make a very big difference in life in America as far as African Americans. We have the unique responsibility to basically make sure that we're lacing each other's shoes up, to make sure that you get a full understanding of your history. But the majority of the time, there is just that unwavering example that there's only one parent in the house, and that parent doesn't have time to give the child. My mom used to tell me, "Oh no, don't believe in Santa Claus. He was a rapist. He used to slide down people's houses in Germany and rape people. That's where that shit come from. We ain't doing none of that here." Yeah. So the same thing with Halloween. She used to be like, "No, we ain't worshiping no dead people in this house. That's what that's from." Yeah. And my mom used to tell me these things, and as a child, I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? I can't dress up like Superman or Spider-Man?"
All my homeboys doing it.
Yeah, the homeboy doing it. Yeah. And these are the differences. You know what I'm saying? And it's how you raised, really. It's whether or not you got both parents in the house, because that makes a lot of difference. You know what I'm saying? The single mom that's she waiting tables and stocking shelves 16 hours a day, she can't give you a good education. And I don't blame her for that, but she's a strong black woman, the way dude would say. You know what I'm saying? She fighting for that right to survive. That's all she's doing. She's not existing, really. She's not existing, and under the circumstances, a whole lot of kids that's taking advantage of that, not letting that parent or adult in their life live that life. You know what I'm saying? And when the child grow up and mama can play the fool, that's what happens. Most of them come out swinging. You know what I'm saying? And these are just some of the small parts of society that we need to address more as a race of people, because we are a unique set of people. The aspirin that you give John is not going to be the aspirin you should give Mustafa. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't going to work the same for the two people. And that's part of what I mean by that. I mean, the aspirin's still going to work, but hey, there's a difference between the two. And the sooner, as a race of people, we come to that understanding that we are responsible for each other, we are supposed to engage in such ways that make each other uncomfortable sometimes, and still have the respect and the quality of life to disagree but agree that, okay, our disagreements here don't meet, but like butt cheeks, we gonna come together and walk through the door.
and I'm with you on all of it. If there was something in me that is pulling me as you're talking, it's really just when we talk about the same aspirin, it's not going to be the same aspirin that impacts John the same way as Mustafa. But my mindset is, that's on Mustafa's parents and Mustafa to make those adjustments in the aspirin, just like John's parents make the adjustment or make the aspirin for John, just like Sue Kim makes the adjustment for you. You get what I'm saying? And hopefully that's not, I hope people aren't looking at us saying these names as any type of way, but y'all get the point that we're making. Like y'all get the point that we're making. There's certain things for this Indian child that may not be the same, the same medicine for this black kid. It's just how things go. And we're not taught, we're using the word medicine from a figurative way, but also maybe in a literal way, you know? So let me show you something, because I saw what Honest wrote on here. Perspective is everything. Shout out to Big Bro. I want to show real quickly. I just want to pivot, and then we'll get back to finishing up the Adam and Eve story. But this was something that a buddy of mine spoke or saw, and I want everybody to. I don't want to describe the video that you're getting ready to see, but I want you to just observe the video and think about what I'm saying. Perspective is everything. That Honest just wrote. Observe this video, and somebody sent this to me. And they were saying, like, this is why it's so hard. Let me read the exact message that they said. So that way I like to just read it exactly as it was sent to me. He said that this is why we don't have the capacity to ever capture the truth. And he sent me this. So y'all take a look at it. I'm just going to keep playing it over and over, because that's what I needed to get. But y'all will understand when you see it. All right. Is it being shared? Hold on. Here we go. All right. I'll make us a little smaller there so they can see the screen. All right, here we go.
Will only hear the word you are reading. 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 Will only.
All right. Did you peep it out?
You know I can't hear in one ear.
Oh, I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna play it again for everybody, and I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. I'm gonna turn it up for a little bit. I just want everybody to just peep this. This blew my mind, and it put a lot of things into perspective for me. But take a look again.
Only hear the word you are reading. Will only hear the word you are reading. Will only hear the word you are reading.
So pretty much you're only going to hear the word that you're reading, which to me, my takeaway was we see things based on perspective. My lens is different than other people's lens. And a lot of times that's different based on my previous experiences, certain prejudices that I may have. We see this happen all the time in criminal cases where somebody will swear, no, that's the person that robbed me. That's the person that raped me. That's the person in their mind. And especially when they may not have ever seen the person's face, but when the police start saying, hey, it was these three people or this was the situation, you see this occur where people in their mind, they'll start to replay back something and only see it based on a particular perspective. So that's the same thing that we see in life. One situation can happen and I can see it through my lens and it'd be a totally different situation than somebody else that sees it through their lens. And I'm sure that's the case with a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about today, what we're talking about today, but what I'm talking about when it comes to the dynamics between men and women. Like, I didn't want to put that on you, but I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to both of us and they're hearing something totally different than what we may think that they would hear or we would hear if we heard it. So that has to be taken into consideration too.
Yeah. I've often told people this, that people, you can ask 5 different people what they see when they see red, but everybody sees red in a different shade. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that it's red because this is the color that we were taught, hey, that's red.
Right.
But everyone sees a different shade. And in perspective of life, that's the way life works for everyone. Everyone has that unique way that they're seeing something. That one, you ask 10 people that watched a school bus crash, no kids on it. By the time the 10th person get to talking, the bus was full of kids.
Yeah. It's the game of telephone. It's the game of telephone. All right, let's finish this up, and then I don't even know if we'll have time for another one, but this has just been dope. So let's Ant was talking about I disagree with something. I didn't disagree. Hold on. I know this isn't. Hold on. My fault. I thought shout out to Robert in the building. I really like this. I watched it the other night. Oh, he's talking about the animation. All right. My dad's probably looking. He probably thought that I saw the Robert Bob L. And I have a college buddy of mine that I went to school with, Robert. Yeah, whatever. I thought that was somebody else. But let's continue with the video, and then we'll see what we'll do after that.
The serpent would be cursed, destined to crawl on its belly. As God speaks, the garden seems to darken. The once perfect land begins to wither. Thorns sprout among the plants. The wind carries a sorrowful whisper. God sent them out of the garden, placing a flaming sword to guard the entrance. The gates of Eden were closed, and humanity began its long journey through a world of hardship. Adam and Eve take their first steps into the wilderness, leaving behind the paradise they once called home. The garden, still beautiful, now lies beyond their reach. They turn back for one last glance. The light within Eden is untouched, but they can no longer enter. Adam and Eve's story is not just about a mistake. It's a story of love, temptation, disobedience, and hope. Through their actions, we learn the consequences of sin, but also the boundless grace of a loving God who promised to save us. And that promise, made long ago, would one day come true in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Through him, we are redeemed, and the gates of paradise are open once more.
It wasn't Adam. I mean, it wasn't Eve, it was Adam, Unc. I don't know if that shifted my view on it. It's all Adam, bro. It's all Adam. You want to know why I'm saying that? Because this is just poor leadership. This is the willingness to budge on certain things. Adam should have let it be known from the jump, hey, this is what we don't do. You know what I'm saying? This is what I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know what was there. You can't just control somebody, perhaps. I understand that, but I'm looking at this and I just see, I'm relating it to now, and this is just leadership following temptation rather than following purpose, in my opinion. But you take it away from there as far as what you're seeing now that you saw the story, or what you're thinking. Personally,
you got to actually think to yourself, and don't take this literally as the way that I'm gonna say it, because the way it's gonna sound crazy. But you can train an animal, you can't train a human. And come on. According to the Bible, that they were together for almost 1,000 years before they bit that apple.
Oh, you see.
In 900 years that Eve would have went to Adam before she bit the apple and been like, yo, I think I'm gonna go bite one of them apples, see what happened. And Adam would have been like, no, that's not a good idea. God said, no, don't do it. But after 900 years, she still was like, oh, I'm gonna go bite that apple. Fuck Adam. I'm gonna go bite. And then once she bit the apple, she was like, oh shit, I'm high as fuck. Take a bite of this and see what happened. Yeah. And it all break down from there. Yo.
You're right. Hold up. But back to the whole, it's funny that you mentioned you could train an animal, you can't train a human. I agree. And this is actually, so think about this. I thought about this the other day, and I was thinking about in the jungle. Now, obviously we're different than animals. Let's be clear on that. Exactly what you said. But when you look at a lion and the lioness, she goes out, gets the food, because that's what makes the most sense. Because if a male lion comes into that particular pride and wants to take over something, that male lion needs to be well rested and fed to make sure, because he's the one that's going to fight that other lion that if he kills the male is also going to kill all of that those lionesses cubs, at least the male ones. So when I look at it, I was thinking, this was just a thought that I had. I'm like, damn, exactly what has happened to lions who go into captivity, like let's say at the zoo, when the zoo people are now just feeding you and there's no threat of another male lion. Maybe that's why a lot of these male lions in the zoo look so defeated and emasculated, because they no longer have a relevant role. There's no longer a relevant role for them. The women looking like, we don't need you for no protection. Like, you're not. That's what's happened with America. Things have become so privileged in this zoo that we're living in, this bubble where we don't, where things are just given to us, where things are not as hard as they were in the past. Now they're more, and now our problems are different than those problems in the past. So saying that they're not as hard, I should say that they're just different. So we've kind of adjusted to where now the problems that we face are more based on the fact that, damn, I'm not really relevant anymore. They just, the zookeeper's just feeding them now. So the zookeeper's just protecting the lionesses. And maybe the zoo is representation of the government that comes in and says, hey, you don't need no man. You don't need no man. Like, we got you. So that zookeeper is representing the government in a lot of ways. And maybe I'm just reaching with this analogy, but the zookeeper plays the role of the government. So now that male lion who was the guy and was respected for certain things that they brought to the table before, now it's like, oh, I don't need that. Like, bro, we don't need you. We good over here by ourselves.
I'm gonna prove your point. I'm gonna prove your point. I'm gonna prove your point to you to make sure that you understand it makes perfect sense. For real. What happens when you take a lion out of hunting? You have to retrain the lion how to hunt. You just can't habitate a lion for 2 years and then kick it out. It don't know how to hunt. So you got to retrain it how to hunt. Yeah, after you hand feed a lion for 2 years, that lion is done. You can't put it back out. But we do that to people all the time. Yeah, we do that to people all the time. Yeah. People paroled, and I'm not talking about paroled out of prison. I'm just talking about paroled out of life.
Damn.
Yeah. And most people don't see it. They don't get it, don't click for them. That the same way that you took a man out of the hunt, now he can't hunt no more. You got to retrain him how to hunt. The same way a lion that you trapped, contained, hand fed, and now you're gonna put him back out in the wild, just don't work. He gonna hang around the fence like, yo, what time is feeding? Yeah. What? Did y'all run out of money? Where's the lamb?
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? But we have to, as people, we have to also realize that we have to relearn how to hunt. Yeah, this old dog knows how to hunt. You know what I'm saying? But don't tell my wife that. But some people, they give up that right to learn how to hunt. You know what I'm saying? And it used to be an art. Now it's not. Now it's dumbed down to the point to where you don't even feel the hunt anymore. You know what I'm saying? Okay, me going to Miami Beach as a hunter, I'm looking around, and all of the lioness, they looking back at me, talking about fresh meat. It's completely flipped. You know what I'm saying? And this is the part of society that you're really talking about. For real, this is the part of society that you're addressing. It's flipped because trust me, if I take my shirt off, I still got an 8-pack at 60.
Let's go up.
Yeah, I still got an 8-pack at 60. You know what I'm saying? For real. I send you a picture of me and Mush. I'm yoked. Yeah.
Let's go up. Talk that shit up.
Yeah, for real. I'm yoked from my old age.
Let's go up.
Ain't nothing. But young people today, they don't have that. They ain't got none of that. You know? I have a brother, 1 out of 6. I also have 6 sisters, and this is the reason why I was never able to be sexist. All my sisters are older than me. You know what I'm saying? But me and my brothers, we stagnate. So, I have one brother though. This dude is unique when it come down to his sense of understanding of women. I used to tell him all the time, dude, if you can date a chick for more than 9 months, marry her.
Wait, one more time.
Months. Yeah, it only take 9 months for her to have a child. If you get to the 10th point that you and her is still cool and y'all see eye to eye on everything, marry her. But today, that don't work that way with young people. You know what I'm saying? Today, young people is like, oh, well, I could beat the package up on until somebody say something. You know what I'm saying? You go back to the old school days, like with James Earl Jones and Claudine, where you did have the man telling the woman, hey, if I'm paying your rent, you can't have his ass there. You know what I'm saying? It was a difference. But that difference is a difference that we don't see in society anymore. You know what I'm saying? They don't check, they don't come by and knock on somebody's door anymore to see if there's a man hiding in the closet. You know what I'm saying? They used to. Yeah, they used to be a job for that. yeah, there used to be a job for that.
Milkman.
You just ping you on your phone and they know, oh no, yeah, Tom's at Mary's. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have that. We don't have that idea of self-respect as men anymore. Men used to have a lot more self-respect for themselves than they do today. And I blame that on society. I blame people my age more so than I blame society, but I do blame society because they perpetrate that. There's the difference between women that would look at the soaps and think that, well, that's the type of life I want to live. No, you're not gonna live like that. I work at Abrams. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm only getting paid $29 an hour to do what I do. You can't have a butler and a maid. You know what I'm saying? I'm barely affording to give you enough money, and there's the problem. Young people expect too much more than what they get.
That's real.
Everybody can't drink Hennessy, but everybody want Hennessy money. How does that work? You know, everybody want to die, but everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. It's just those simple things that are misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? Just because you a graffiti artist don't mean they gonna hang that graffiti at the Met.
Yeah.
But you think most people, you ask most people and they'll tell you, oh no, my stuff is so good it should be hung at the Met. No.
The people decide that.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, let's dang, we gonna have to wrap it up. And I wanted to get into Israel and Iran, but I think we good here. I think maybe we'll tap in with some of this stuff. I'm sure we'll have a lot to update on Friday, and everything with Straw. Yo, all right, so this is what I'm gonna do. For all y'all that have not seen the movie Straw, check it out. Let's see if we can review this together. I'll save this until Friday if possible. No, we'll definitely talk about it on Friday. I may put out a separate video, not on the live, throughout the week, but let's plan on touching base on that on Friday, because I think it's just something good that we could just all learn from and just build on, hopefully. So it's I don't know. I wanted to touch on the whole Iran and Israel situation because I'm just a little bit nervous. Like we said earlier, I'm depressed with what's going on in a lot of these areas, and I'm more so depressed with people's mindset on it and what we accept as human beings. But you know, we'll be the change. We'll be the change. So let me hold on. Let me catch up with this last comment from Ant real quick. And Ant wrote, he said, "Did you like straw?" We'll wait until Friday, and I'll tell you. What do we tell the woman who can afford what she wants, or is given what she needs and wants from someone else, or is given what she needs and wants from someone else when you can't afford it? What do we tell the woman who can afford what she wants, or is given what she needs and wants from someone else? I don't know, bro. That seems like we'll touch on. Let me pontificate on that a little bit, and then we'll address that on Friday. I'm sure we'll be continuing these conversations. So if it's okay with you, I'm gonna start our 45 seconds and get into that. Y'all know what we do at the end of every show. 45 seconds. You take the time to meditate, manifest, get your breath work in, just get your mind right, whatever it may be. You take that 45 seconds. If you're in a safe place, feel free to close your eyes. If not, do whatever you feel is best. We're going to take 45 seconds to just breathe and making sure that we're keeping the main things, and that we're prioritizing our purpose, all these other things. Well, now I'm telling y'all what to do with y'all 45. So you do what you need to do for your 45. One thing I will say is let's every exhale represent getting rid of the negative energy, and every inhale represent inhaling that positive energy. So let's take 45 seconds starting now. All right, we'll do one last exhale and all that negative, inhaling all that positive. Y'all know we here to do elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards, challenging ourselves to become the best leaders we can become, and to grow into the people we need to become to accomplish these things that we set out to accomplish, to make sure that we're built to go after the goals that we set forth for ourselves as we strive for that purposeful abundance, strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know what it is when I say get to that bag. If you don't, I mean, focus on the things that are aligned with you, taking the straightest and most direct route, or whatever route, to you living in your purposeful abundance, pursuing your purpose, and making that impact on the world that you want to make, what we like to call our personal legend. What's in my bag? Peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and everything we do, integrity. And I'll let you finish it out.
Hey, just remember, they made tanks to be tools of war, but they made Jeeps to take you to tanks. You can't be a tank and pretend to be a Jeep, and you can't pretend to be a Jeep and pretend to be a tank. I'm just saying.
Something to think about. Appreciate you, Definitely appreciate you. Quee sent the fire emojis. Appreciate all of y'all that tap in. Really love y'all. Y'all keep the show going when y'all are in the comments. We are all looking to just grow from this. So I now have some things to think about. I started off the show thinking that I was, am I sexist? And Professor King sent some words that I need to think about. Hopefully y'all kind of understood why I was questioning those things. And I don't know. We'll just go from there. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.
Peace.
All right.